Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the EASIE Part I webinar for fiscal year 2023-24. My name is Crystal Szymanski, and I support the Partner Support Center. I also have Courtney Montgomery from PSC on the line, as well as some representatives from the Office of Indian Education, who will also be presenting and assisting in answering questions. The PowerPoint that we will review today, as well as the audio recording of today's meeting, will be available on the EASIE Community website. You can also contact the Partner Support Center to request a copy of these resources or guidance on how to access the community site. To access audio for today's webinar session, users can dial in by selecting Event, then Information in your WebEx window. Users can also use their computer speakers to hear audio. If you would like to submit any questions or comments, please submit these via the Q&A panel. To access the Q&A panel, select the three dots at the bottom right of your WebEx screen and select Q&A. Do not submit questions through the chat panel. Participants will be muted upon entry, but can ask questions verbally upon request in the Q&A panel during our questions and answers section. Please reference the screenshot provided to see how your Q&A panel should look when submitting questions or comments. All participants are in listen-only mode. As a reminder, some questions sent through the Q&A panel may not be answered in real time. This helps ensure OIE has proper time to research each individualized policy issue prior to providing a response. If your questions are not addressed during today's webinar session, please contact PSC. Today, we will be reviewing the EASIE Part I application process for fiscal year 2023-24. We will review webinar housekeeping and logistics and introductions, general information, EASIE Part I process, eligibility information, application duration, student count information, required supplemental forms, how to access EASIE Part I, important information, EASIE Part I online demonstration, and a question and answer session. I will now be passing the presentation over to Mr. Julian Guerrero from the Office of Indian Education.
Thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate that handover and for that information. And for all those of you joining online with us this afternoon, Maraoika, Nananiat Sayani Suara Mohatsi, Sokanina Nakimar, Washington Kanikata. Nanatna Manatsa Kirchina, Dasa Kozadna, Dasa Ahedina, Dasa Coffeena. My name is Julian Guerrero, and I have the distinct pleasure of serving as the Director of the Office of Indian Education. And I'm really excited to be with you all, and congratulations and welcome to today's webinar. I see quite a few returning names. Welcome back. And for those of you who are new to our program and process and you're looking to place an application with us, thanks for your interest in this year's application period. My greatest source of pride is not only the work that we do at the OIE, but the colleagues that I get to join and as we support this community and all Native communities across the country, from Dr. Crystal Moore to Gregory Hinesley, Wanda Lee, Terry Nelson, Annabelle Toledo on our Office of Indian Ed. And I typically like to say we do everything we do is to modernize, humanize the way we do business. And this still remains true year to year. I encourage you to take your time in today's webinar, take as many notes as you can, and never hesitate to ask questions. That's our job, here to support you and always being responsive to those questions. Our work is incredible work. All of us as a community supporting Indian Ed is incredible. That we're restoring, reclaiming, and helping usher ways for Indian Ed to expand the ways and Native ways of knowing. And especially making sure Native ways and Native traditions and Native culture remains intact. Learning Native cultures are a part of the survival story, persistence, and it's in every aspect of our work in Indian education. I'd like to say that our formula programs are the most incredible in that they really fund bringing culture into the classroom to benefit many Native students across the country. And, you know, I'd be remiss not to announce other exciting work going on in the OIE related to upcoming competitions that we plan to announce this summer. We have a new competition related to teacher retention, as well as another competition related to the Native American Language Resource Center's program. We're going to be needing peer reviewers for those competitions. So if you're interested in learning about those opportunities on how to become a peer reviewer, you can go to our website at OIE and look up that information. These are paid opportunities for you to be a peer reviewer for our competitive discretionary side of the house. So with that being said, I want to assure you all that this work is incredible, and our Native children, no matter where they are, always aspire to great things, and our Native youth deserve many things, but the most important is that they need to feel proud of who they are and their culture and their identity, and these grants, these programs are a catalyst to ensure that that is possible. Learning culture is healing for us all. So I really challenge all of us today and discussions to come is for all of us to raise Indian country up together. Thank you so much. And with that being said, I will turn it over to Dr. Moore.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Guerrero, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to visit with us this afternoon. And welcome to the rest of our wonderful participants here. I see we have 88 of you, and thank you for taking time out of your very busy day to join us on this important call as we talk about EASIE Part I and all the ways that we are hoping you will be successful with that. So I would like to next highlight our OIE Formula Program Officers. You see them on your screen. We have Miss Annabelle Toledo. She's an Education Program Specialist assigned to basically the eastern half of the United States, all of our states on pretty much east of the Mississippi River. You'll see a list of her states underneath her phone number there, which is also underneath her email. If you have any questions, concerns, ways that we can help you, please reach out to her for those states. I'm in the middle. You'll see my email and phone number there, and email is the best way to get in touch with me. Next to me, we have Miss Wanda Lee. She's our Education Program Specialist assigned to all of our grantees in Oklahoma, which is approximately 400, or about a quarter of our funding there in Oklahoma. So wanda.lee@ed.gov, or her email you'll see on the screen for any ways that she can be helpful to you in Oklahoma. And then underneath her, we have Mr. Gregory Hinesley, aka Greg, and his email is full name gregory.hinesley@ed.gov. Greg is he's been with us for about a year now. He is our Education Program Specialist assigned to our grantees in the northwest region of the United States, so Alaska, Washington, and then some toward the north central, so South Dakota, North Dakota, etc. And yes, please reach him. You have his phone number there if you have any questions, concerns, ways we can help on your grants in those states. Next to him, we have Miss Terry Nelson. She's been in OIE and around OIE for a long time, close to 30-ish years. And she is with us on special assignment and is our Education Program Specialist assigned to the states in the Southwest region of the United States. You see her number and email there. It's NELSON at ed.gov is her last name. So next slide, please. Next, we're going to review some general information about your EASIE Part I application. And the Indian Education Formula Grants to Local Education Agencies, also known as Formula Grants Program, provides grants to support local education agencies, also known as LEAs or school districts, Indian tribes, and Indian organizations, as well as other eligible entities in developing elementary and secondary school programs that serve Indian students, as defined on our ED 506 form. The U.S. Department of Education, also known as the Department, funds comprehensive programs that are designed to meet the unique cultural, language, and educational needs of American Indian and Alaska Native students, and ensure that all students meet challenging state academic standards. We are a hybrid of culture and academics. Next slide, please. So our timeline for EASIE Part 1, important dates, although we typically run about the same dates each year, they do shift a day or two here or there. So for this year, applications opened February 6th, which was last Monday. You should have received your unique tokens via your point of contacts listed on file with us with their email. If you did not, please reach out to us. The deadline for transmittal of the EASIE Part 1 application is Friday, March 10th, 2023, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. That is a hard deadline. Please make sure that you meet those official closing dates that are published in the Federal Register. All of that information in the Federal Register is firm. Please note that the OIE will not consider an application that does not comply with these deadline requirements. Applications must meet the March 10th deadline to be eligible to complete EASIE Part 2 of the application process. So if you don't finish EASIE Part 1 by the deadline, we will not allow you to start Part 2. Please make sure to get your application completed and ensure that all your supplemental forms as well are submitted if they're applicable to you, and that your application is certified by the deadline. And certified meaning that your authorized official representative, your AOR, signs that. They certify your application by that March 10th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time deadline. If you do not meet the deadline, your application cannot and will not be completed, and it will not be considered for funding. So we will close the system after that deadline, and we, in 50 years of this program office, we have made 0 exceptions to that. So please get your applications in by the deadline with all of your supplemental documentation. Next slide, please. Next, we will be reviewing EASIE Part 1 changes for FY 23-24. Applicants may add, so number 1, applicants may add the ED 506 form to their student information system and pre-fill the available content from their student records. For example, student name, address, grade level, and then parents can e-sign. Please do not add any tribal information from your SIS. So if you have questions about what can be added and what cannot be added or pre-filled into this form, or if you would like to build the ED 506 form as part of your SIS, please contact your program officer and ask for a meeting for us to review your request. So again, if you want to put the ED 506 form in your SIS as a form, a web form, please reach out to your program officer with that request, and also make sure you're clear about what you can pre-fill from your SIS, your student information system records, and what you cannot, because there are some fields that we allow that for and some fields we don't. If you have already done this and built the form into your SIS, please contact us very quickly. So second change for FY 23-24, grantees are also able to edit the fields included below in the ED 506 without contacting the parent. Name of child, date of birth. So this is all basically demographic data that is standard information. And note, it's not tribal membership numbers or proof of tribal membership or proof of eligibility for the Title VI program. So name of child, date of birth, grade level, name of school, school district, and then maybe a name or address of the tribe, and whether that tribe is federally recognized. Since the name of the tribe and whether their recognition status is publicly available, we have allowed that. And then the printed name of the parent or guardian. So, of course, the parent guardian must sign the form, even if it's an allowable electronic signature. Okay, next slide, please. And I'll be turning it over to my colleague, Ms. Wanda Lee. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Next slide. Here is a quick look at the overall process you will need to complete for your EASIE Part I application. We will be going over each page in the system and during our recorded video demonstration in subsequent slides. First, applicants will need to enter and confirm their applicant demographic information. Next, applicants will need to select the application duration option, either single year or multi-year. Applicants that had a multi-year application in the prior year will need to confirm if they will continue or discontinue their multi-year application. Applicants will then provide the number of eligible Indian students, their student count period, and the total number of all Indian students enrolled in the applying entity or entities. Then tribes, Indian organizations, IOs, Indian community-based organizations, ICBOs, and consortium leaders must upload their required supplemental forms. Then the authorized official representative for the applicant will review the data for accuracy in preparation to begin the certification process. Finally, and very importantly, the authorized official representative certifies the application. Next slide, please. Next, we will review the EASIE Part I pages in OMB Max. We will also share a recorded demonstration of the entire Part I application later on in today's meeting. Page 1, EASIE Title VI Part I instructions, and page 2, EASIE Title VI application overview and FAQs, frequently asked questions. They are just informational pages. Each applicant will need to review the text of both pages, but there are no data entry sections. Page 3 is for EASIE Title VI Part I demographics. This information will be pre-filled, and applicants have the ability to update their applicant name, UEI number, and applicant mailing address. The PR ward number and the NCES number will be visible on this page, but cannot be updated. Next slide, please. Next, we will review. Next slide, please. Page 3 also pre-fills with the project director and the authorized official representative identified during the fiscal year 2023-2024 registration period. Applicants have the ability to update the first name, last name, title, phone number, fax number, and email address of both contacts. Next slide, please. Page 4.1, EASIE multi-year options for returning applicants is required for all prior year multi-year applicants. Relevant applicants will need to confirm if they are continuing or discontinuing their multi-year application. If they are discontinuing, they will be required to complete page 4.2. Page 4.2, EASIE Title VI application term period and applicant type allows the applicants to identify their application term period, that's single year versus multi-year, and their applicant type, LEA, not part of a consortium, LEA, consortium leader, Bureau of Indian Education, that is BIE funded school, could be a tribe applying in lieu of an LEA, could be an Indian organization in a consortium, Indian community-based organization, and an Indian community-based organization in a consortium. Both the application term period and application type from your prior application will display on this page. Page 5 is the EASIE Title VI Indian student count. This is where you will identify your total Indian student count. Count type, only for BIE funded schools. All of your student count and your count period. As with the prior pages, responses from your prior application will display on this page. Page 6 is for supplemental forms. This is where the relevant supplemental forms are uploaded depending on the applicant type you identified on page 4. As a reminder, consortiums, tribes, Indian organizations, and Indian community-based organizations must upload their agreement forms in Part 1. LEAs, not part of a consortium, do not upload any forms during Part 1. Page 7 is the final certification page to submit your EASIE Part 1 application. Next slide, please. Next, we will be reviewing eligibility information. Next slide, please. The following entities are eligible applicants under this program. LEAs, including charter schools authorized as LEAs under state laws. Bureau of Indian Education related entities. They include BIE operated, BIE tribally controlled, and BIE tribally controlled consortium leader. Indian tribes, Indian organizations, Indian community-based organizations, and consortia of 2 or more LEAs, Indian tribes, IOs, and ICBOs are also eligible under certain circumstances. Next slide, please. Now let's take a look at application duration. Next slide. Applicants can choose to enter a multi-year application, year 1 of 4, continue a multi-year application, year 2 or 3 of 4, if they certified as a multi-year application during the prior year, or they can choose to complete a single year application. Applicants must identify the time span for the project objectives and corresponding activities and services for American Indian Alaska Native students. Applicants can choose to set objectives that remain the same for up to 4 years in order to facilitate data collection and enhance their long-term planning. We like to encourage applicants to apply for the multi-year application as it improves the ability to set long-term objectives, which can enhance your ability to collect data on project success. It also enhances long-term planning, and it ensures project continuity in case of staff turnover. Applicants who establish multi-year project objectives this year will not have to re-enter information reported in EASIE Part II next year if they have no changes in their description of coordination of services, grant project objectives, activities, and or services. Next slide, please. I'm turning this back over to Ms. Crystal Szymanski.
Thank you, Wanda. We will now be taking our first question break to let all participants submit any questions in the Q&A panel. If you do not have any questions, here's something to think about while you're waiting. How do I view my previous year's EASIE Part I application information? Users can view their previously certified EASIE Part I information via data pre-filled in each question. Users can update information for fiscal year 2023-24 as needed via the data entry response sections below each question. And if there's any questions that you have, you may submit them into the Q&A panel. I'm going to pass the presentation back to Ms. Wanda Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Szymanski. Now moving on to student count information. Next slide. To apply for a formula grant under the Indian Education Program, a school must determine the number of Indian children enrolled. Minimum of 10 eligible Indian students enrolled in the LEA during count period or constituting not less than 25% of the total individuals in the schools of such or said agency. The minimum enrollment requirement does not apply in Alaska, California, or Oklahoma, or to LEAs located on or in 50-mile proximity to a reservation. For Indian tribes, Indian organizations only, more than half of the total number of Indian students counted must be from the applicant Indian tribe or tribal organization. Next slide, please. Here is an example of what the Ed 506 form looks like. This form is the official document for certifying tribal membership, and the blank form is available for download on our EASIE Communities of Practice Part I page. We have provided a direct link to the document on this slide. An Ed 506 form, Indian Student Eligibility Certification form, is completed by parents or guardians to document their eligible Indian children or students. This form serves as the official record of the eligibility determination for each individual child included in the student count. An Ed 506 form must be completed in full and signed and dated by the child's parent to certify an Indian student's eligibility for the program. A separate Ed 506 form is required for each Indian child. A new Ed 506 form does not have to be completed each year of enrollment in the LEA as long as a signed completed form is on file and there is documentation that the student was enrolled during the count period. Once an Indian child is determined to be eligible to be counted for a grant award, the applicant shall maintain a record of such determination and shall not require a new or duplicate determination or form to be made for such child for a subsequent application for this grant. Please note, the Ed 506 form is now electronically fillable. Each state has its own procedures for ensuring that electronic signatures are valid and authentic. Ed has recommendations for security measures, such as two-factor authentication, and that the school should follow its state and local laws and policies on electronic signatures. The Office of Indian Education, OIE, also recommends that entities, one, consult with the state's auditors, attorney general, or other appropriate state personnel who know and understand electronic signatures to validate that the state will be able to rely on such signatures for purposes of identifying the person signing the document. And secondly, keep the assurance referenced above on file for audit purposes. New for this year, applicants may add the 506 form to their Student Information System, SIS system, and pre-fill the available content from their student records. For example, student name, address, grade level. Parents can then e-sign via the SIS. Grantees are also able to edit the below fields in the Ed 506 forms without contacting the parents. Name of the child, date of birth, grade level, name of school, school district, name and address of tribe or band that maintains updated and accurate membership data for the tribe, whether the tribe or band listed is federally recognized, including Alaska Native, state recognized, terminated, Alaska Native, or an organized Indian group. Also, printed name of parent, guardian, and address. Next slide, please. Applicants that verify their Indian student count with the Ed 506 form must document that their Indian student counts by completing the following. Number one, each year, the applicant must verify there's a valid Ed 506 form for each Indian child included in the count. Secondly, all Ed 506 forms included in the count must be completed, signed, and dated by the end of EASIE Part I, March the 10th, 2023, by the parent and or guardian and be on file. Thirdly, the applicant must maintain a copy of the student enrollment roster covering the same period of time indicated in the application as the count period. And fourthly, each Indian child included in the count must be listed on the LEA's enrollment roster for at least 1 day during the count period. BIE schools that enter on Indian Social Equalization Program count, they must use the most current Indian student count certified by the BIE for their Indian student count. Next slide, please. As noted, BIE schools continue to have the option of documenting their Indian student count by either maintaining student Ed 506 forms or by using the Indian School Equalization Program, also known as ISEP, Average Daily Membership ADM counts, for their Indian count. Next slide, please. As previously called out, page 5, EASIE Title VI Indian Student Count provides the appropriate data entry screens to submit your verified Indian student count totals. All applicants must submit a current Indian student count for fiscal year 2023 through 24. Applicants must use the Indian Student Eligibility Certification Form, Ed 506 form, to document eligible Indian students. However, BIE schools may use the Indian School Equalization Program, the ISEP count, or they may use the Ed 506 form count to verify their Indian student counts. They have a choice. Applicants must protect the privacy of all individual data collected and only report aggregated data to the secretary. Here is an example of the screen where applicants will be entering their student count as well as their count period, which can be from 1 through 31 consecutive days occurring before the end of EASIE Part I on March 10th, 2023. The count period is the duration of the time during the current school year in which the eligible Indian students enrolled in the LEA are counted to determine the applicant's funds for the formula grant program. The system will fire errors if the count period entered exceeds 31 consecutive days, includes a future date, or it does not fall between August the 1st, 2022 and March the 10th, 2023. Users will not be able to certify until errors are corrected. Next slide, please. Consortium applicants, including Indian organizations, Indian community-based organizations, and tribes applying in lieu of multiple LEAs, all organizations in the consortium must have the same count period at each individual LEA. Next slide, please. Please note, updates to your application can only be made until the closing of the application window on Friday, March the 10th, 2023. Once you certify the application and Part 1 closes, increases to the Indian student count are not permitted. You may decrease the submitted Indian student count anytime during the application cycle, EASIE Parts 1 and Part 2. To do so, please contact PSC Partner Support Center at EASIE for assistance. Next slide, please. Now we will review the required supplemental documentation. Next slide, please. There are required forms that must be uploaded prior to certifying Part 1 application for certain applicant types. Tribes applying in lieu of a single or multiple LEA are required to complete and upload their Evidence of Eligibility form. Tribes applying in lieu of LEA agreement before EASIE Part 1 closes. Indian organizations and the consortium leader of Indian organizations, they're required to upload their Indian organization agreement document before EASIE Part 1 closes. Indian community-based organizations and the consortium leader of Indian community-based organizations are required to upload their agreement document prior to certification of Part 1. Applicants must use the OMB approved forms. Note, to ensure that the document is able to be downloaded and viewed, please ensure that your uploaded documents are not encrypted. Next slide, please. Consortium applicants are required to submit their completed consortium agreement prior to certifying EASIE Part 1. The consortium agreement must be completed and uploaded as a PDF document before EASIE Part 1 closes. Applicants must use the OMB approved form. Next slide, please. As a reminder, applicants must use the OMB approved form for the applicant type that you choose. These forms are located on the EASIE Communities of Practice COP site. Also, to ensure that the document is able to be downloaded and viewed by the Office of Indian Education, please ensure that your uploaded form is not encrypted. We will review how all required applicant types upload supplemental forms in the EASIE system during our recorded video demonstration later on in today's webinar. Next slide, please. I'm now going to turn presentation over to my colleague, Ms. Terry Nelson.
Thank you, Wanda.
Welcome.
Now we will review how to access EASIE Part 1. Next slide, please. EASIE application through OMB Max survey does not contain your accounts or log-on information. Each app receives an specific link to access their EASIE Part 1 application when the system opens. Only individuals registered as the current point of contact, project director, and our authorized official representatives will receive the entity-specific link to access the EASIE Part 1 application via PSC. Next slide, please. The authorized representative, superintendent, chief are familiar with official authority to legally bind the entity to the ed contract, can continue to delegate the responsibility of completing the EASIE Part 1 application to other entity contacts by sharing their entity-specific link internally. An official record of that delegation should be kept on file by the entity leadership. To review and certify the application. Each entity needs to confirm that the EASIE application is certified by the authorization official representative by the application deadline. Users designated as the email notification contact during registration will only receive email notifications and will not receive entity-specific application links via PSC. Next. Your registered point of contact, project directors, authorized official representatives, or email contacts have been updated, or your entity do not receive their entity-specific link on the EASIE Part 1 open date, please contact Partner Support Center. The Partner Support Center's phone number is 877-457-3336. Their email address is oie.ed.gov. PSC is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, excluding federal holidays. Now I'll be next slide, please. I'll be turning it over to Greg. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Now we will review additional important information. Next slide. OIE and PSC maintains the EASIE Part 1 FAQs. The FAQs is a supporting document intended to provide policy guidance for the Formula Grant EASIE Part 1. Some main items this document outlines include EASIE support and resources, EASIE Part 1 general information, EASIE Part 1 application duration and type, EASIE Part 1 LEAs, tribes, IO and ICBOs, BIE schools, student eligibility and count information, supplemental documentation, certification, data quality follow-up, contact support information. This document also includes step-by-step instructions for completing the EASIE Part 1 application with screenshots. We will review this information in today's recorded video demonstration as well. Next slide. OIE MPSE maintains the EASIE Part 1 user guide for the OMB Max survey system. This document contains technical assistance for completing the EASIE Part 1 application. This document outlines EASIE technical requirements, EASIE Part 1 access, navigation, and data entry tips, EASIE Part 1 application sections, supplemental form requirements, certifying EASIE Part 1, additional EASIE Part 1 resources, and contact support information. This document also includes step-by-step instructions for completing the EASIE Part 1 application with screenshots. We will review this information in today's recorded video demo as well. Next slide. OIE MPSE created the EASIE Part 1 webinar folder to the Communities of Practice Part 1 website. Instructional videos listed below are available to view on the Part 1 website. They include how to access and navigate the application, how to upload supplemental forms, and how to certify and download the application. OIE MPSE has added the EASIE Part 1 webinar folder to the Communities of Practice Part 1 website. Webinars are available to help with the EASIE process within the OMB Max survey system. Next slide. OIE MPSE will be conducting data quality follow-up throughout the EASIE Part 1 process once applicants certify. Applicants will be contacted by PSC if their certified Part 1 data triggers a data quality warning based on the below items. Within year-to-year changes, you have Indian student count increase or decrease that meets the identified threshold, the applicant name, and the applicant type. And within the duplicate information, you have the NCES ID and the UEI number. Applicants can view a full list of data quality warnings by viewing the EASIE Part 1 data quality follow-up process document. Next slide. After an applicant certifies their EASIE Part 1 application, they may receive data quality warnings based on their certified data. If a data quality warning is generated, the applicant will receive an email notification from the Partner Support Center. The email notification will be sent to the applicant's registered point of contact, project director, authorized official representative, and any other email notification contacts set up in G5. If certified data needs to be updated, the applicant must reply to the email notification and request a new version of their application be created, correct their data, and recertify. If the applicant has deemed the certified data is accurate and reliable, and the certified data does not need to be updated, the applicant can disregard the data quality warning. After the system closes, OIE will perform an additional review of your certified Part 1 application. At that time, there may be additional follow-up with your entity. Next slide. In order to prepare for your entity's EASIE Part 2 application, you should begin planning for your public hearing. As a reminder, while you prepare for EASIE Part 2, this application is scheduled to open on April 3rd and will need to be completed and certified by May 12th. Please schedule your required meetings accordingly and begin planning your communication to your stakeholders. You should also make plans to consult with the parent committee to discuss the Part 2 application if you are required to have a parent committee, such as the LEA and LEA consortium applicants. You should start identifying which federal formula grants your district received during the last or current school year, and if those programs are currently coordinated with Title VI services. You should also begin to create a description of how the coordination of services will meet the needs of American Indian and Alaska Native children, including their language and cultural needs, with an explanation of specific programs and activities. You should meaningfully engage the Indian tribes located in the community to discuss the comprehensive program. You should conduct your needs assessment, and you can check that out with section 17.6 of the Part 1 FAQ document for needs assessment. Based on your community needs, the assessment data, begin thinking about the objectives that you will select for your project. Also begin thinking about how to address GEPA section 427. And new applicants must all have their valid ED 506 forms on file prior to the close of Part 1. So a lot of information there. I'll leave that up for just a second. Okay, next slide. Applications must be certified by Friday, March 10th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. The required supplemental forms must be uploaded prior to certification. OIE recommends that all required forms be uploaded at least 3 days in advance of the certification deadline to avoid any last-minute issues. Just because all responses have been completed does not mean your application is completed. You have to certify. Remember to save and/or print a copy of your certified application for your files. Make sure to monitor your email for communications from oie.easie@ed.gov or easie@edlistserves.org addresses. Also check your spam or junk folder just in case they show up there. Next slide. So for your reference, here are the EASIE Part 1 webinar dates. So we have obviously today, and we had our first one 2 days ago. And I will turn the presentation back to Ms. Skamansky.
Thank you so much, Greg. To receive support during the application process, please contact the Partner Support Center. PSC will distribute regular broadcasts, providing EASIE applicants with updates and reaching out to applicants as the deadline approaches to ensure all applicants complete their application and do not miss out on any funding. We are available to answer any questions that you may have during our regular hours of operation from 8 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, except for federal holidays. Please note, PSC will provide support until 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the close day. Therefore, entities are strongly encouraged to submit their EASIE Part 1 application 1 day prior to the submission deadline. This will help avoid any last-minute issues after PSC closes at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time and is unavailable to help resolve them. This concludes the first part of today's webinar. So now if everyone can give me a few moments, I'm going to pull up the recorded EASIE Part 1 online demonstration. Thank you so much for your patience. Let's go ahead and get started with the recorded system demonstration. Before beginning, the EASIE application may work in other internet browsers, but Google Chrome is recommended for the best performance. Please note that the OMB Max survey portal may generate a warning message when using a browser other than Google Chrome. Selecting the EASIE Part 1 application entity-specific link provided via the Part 1 launch broadcast email from PSC directs the user to the EASIE Part 1 application landing page. Page 1, EASIE Title VI Part 1 Instructions. Please note that the application and data entered today are through a test account, and this is not the actual application for the listed entity. Each applicant should review the instructions and then select Next. We are now on page 2, EASIE Title VI Part 1 Application Overview and FAQs. Users will need to review the information. And once this information has been reviewed, you can select Next. I would like to call out the navigation options now that we are on page 2. Users can navigate to previous and subsequent pages while completing EASIE Part 1 by selecting the Next, and previous buttons at the bottom of each page. Users can navigate to specific pages while completing the EASIE Part I application by accessing the question index. Users can save EASIE Part I data entry responses and submit the survey later by selecting Resume Later at the bottom of the survey window. Entities can use their entity-specific link at a later time to return to the EASIE Part I application and submit. All previously saved responses will appear. And then you could select Next. We are now on page 3, EASIE Title VI, Part 1, Demographics. Review and update applicant name, applicant identification, applicant mailing address, project director, and authorized official representative if needed. For the applicant name section, applicants will need to review and/or update their applicant name. This information will be pre-filled from your prior certification if available. Next, for the applicant identification section, applicants will need to review and/or update their UEI number. This information will again be pre-filled from your prior certification if available. Please note, entities are unable to update their PR award number or NCES number. If either of these numbers have changed, contact PSC via email at oie.easy@ed.gov or via phone at 877-457-3336. For the applicant mailing address section, applicants will need to review and/or update their mailing address. The applicant mailing address should be the same address that is registered with the provided UEI number. The UEI is a unique entity identifier, and it can be registered through sam.gov. Please also note that state entries must follow 2-character state abbreviation format. So here for California, I have CA. The project director and authorized official representative contact information can also be updated. The project director and the authorized official representative information are pre-filled from registration. For the project director section, the applicant will need to review and/or update their project director's first name, last name, title, phone number, fax number, and email address. The project director information is pre-filled from EASIE registration. Since the information that was pre-filled in my test application is correct and up to date, I will leave it as is. Next, for the authorized official representative section, the applicant will need to review and/or update their authorized official representative's first name, last name, title, phone number, fax number, and email address. The authorized official representative information is also pre-filled from the EASIE registration. The information listed here is correct, so I will leave it as is. But please note, the authorized official representative is the official within the organization with the legal authority to give assurances, make commitments, enter into contracts, and execute such documents on behalf of the organization as may be required. This person holds a high-level leadership position, is often the superintendent of the LEA. For tribes, it could be a tribal official designated or authorized to bind the tribe in legal contracts, such as a chief. And once all data response fields have been updated, can select Next. We are now at section 4, EASIE Title VI, Application Term Period and Applicant Type. Please review and update the application term period and applicant type. This data will populate in the question text if your entity had a prior EASIE application in the last 2 fiscal year grant cycles. Entities will need to manually select a response before continuing. Applicants that are currently in a multi-year application, year 2, 3, or 4, will need to confirm if they would like to continue or discontinue their multi-year application. They will also need to confirm if there are changes to their description of services, grant objectives, activities, services, or grade levels for the correct application period. If there are any changes to these items, applicants are required to discontinue their current multi-year application prior to selecting next. For my test account, this is the first year of my application. As a result, I only have access to select new multi-year application. Multi-year applicants in year 2 or 3 will also have an option to continue their current multi-year application. You may only select one option. Afterwards, single-year applicants and multi-year applicants in year 1 of 4 only will select an application type based on the available options. For this demonstration, I will select LEA, Consortium Leader, to demo how to upload a supplemental form. All sections that appear for each applicant type can be found in the EASIE Part I User Guide document. For LEA Consortium Leader, tribes applying in lieu of multiple LEAs, Consortium Leader IO, and Consortium Leader ICBO will need to identify their consortium partners or the additional LEAs they are applying in lieu of. The NCES number, LEA name, city, and state of each additional LEA should be listed in this section. The lead LEA should not be listed in this section. Please also note that state entries must follow 2-character state abbreviation format. For example, for California, we have CA. All state entries must match the state information provided in the applicant mailing address on page 3, EASIE Title VI, Part 1, Demographics. I have entered the non-lead LEAs that are included in my consortium. I only had one other partner, which I entered here. And once all data responses have been entered, you can select next. On page 5, EASIE Title VI, Indian Student Count, entities must review and update their Indian student count period, and all student count. First, users will need to update their Indian student count. The application will pre-fill with the entity's previously certified total Indian student count if available from prior certified application. Complete this section with the number of eligible Indian students. An eligible Indian student means a student who, 1, meets the definition of Indian in the definition section of the instructions to this application, and 2, who was present during the official count date, and 3, for whom the LEA has a valid Indian Student Certification Form, ED 506 form. BIE funded schools have the ability to use their ISEP count instead of the ED 506 form. Please note, each Indian child included in the count must be listed on the LEA's enrollment roster or rosters for at least 1 day during the count period. Please enter numbers only, no special characters. For example, if you had over 1,000, like 1,000 students, you would enter 1000, no commas, please. I have my Indian student count here. It is for 720. And please remember that this includes all eligible Indian students in my consortium. Next, users will need to provide their Indian student count period start and end dates. The count period is the span of time during the current school year in which the official Indian student count was taken. The count period may be up to 31 consecutive calendar days, inclusive of all dates. For example, you could list October 1st through October 31st, 2022. Please note, the last day of the count period cannot be a future date. It cannot be later than the date the application is signed and submitted. I have entered a count date here, October 1st to October 31st. Next, users will need to provide their all student count. This count should include all Indian and non-Indian students enrolled in your entity during your identified count period. Please enter numbers only, No special characters. Going to enter my all student count. Once all data responses have been entered, select Next. We are on page 6, Supplemental Forms. Upload the required supplemental forms based on your selected applicant type. LEAs, not part of a consortium, are not required to upload any supplemental forms. Since I identified as an LEA consortium leader, I am required to upload a consortium agreement. To do so, I will need to select Upload Files and then click Select File. After clicking Select File, a dialog box will appear to select the file to upload from your local computer. Choose the file that contains your completed and signed supplemental form. Then select Open. After selecting Open, the file will be uploaded into EASIE Part I and a message will appear that states the file has been successfully uploaded. Once the upload is complete, users can either select Delete and upload a different file, or select Save Changes to save the upload and continue. After selecting Save Changes, view the uploaded file name on page 6, Supplemental Forms. Only one document in total can be uploaded. If you would like to upload other files, users will need to delete their current file and upload another by selecting Edit, Delete, and then upload a new file. After the file has been uploaded, select Next to continue to page 7, Certification. Page 7, Certification. Certification is required. The last step of EASIE Part I is the certification of your submission by the authorized official representative. This person cannot be a contractor. By certifying, you are verifying the correctness of the application. This step is critical. Uncertified applications are not submitted to the Office of Indian Education. Failure to certify your application by the deadline will prevent the entity from continuing in the EASIE process. The authorized official representative should follow the steps below for certifying their EASIE Part I application after all previous sections have been completed. You'll need to navigate to page 7, Certification in EASIE Part I. The authorized official representative will need to review the certification information present on this page and enter the entity's authorized official representative's first name, last name, title, applicant name, and date. Typing the authorized official representative information certifies that you agree to all terms stated in this application. Please note, the authorized official representative's information that was submitted in the EASIE registration survey, if applicable, will be pre-filled. This information must also be manually entered into the response fields in order to certify EASIE Part I. Users will only be able to enter the current date when completing certification. After all information has been entered on the certification page, the authorized official representative must select Submit to certify the EASIE Part I application. EASIE Part I will then automatically be delivered electronically to the Office of Indian Education for review. After Submit is selected, users are directed to the certification confirmation page. Please note, applicants are unable to update their application themselves after selecting Submit. This serves as confirmation that the EASIE Part I certification is complete. The entity's registered point of contact will also receive an automated confirmation email from noreply.survey@max.gov.
The point of contact should forward this email confirmation to any relevant EASIE contacts in their entity, so all users are informed EASIE Part 1 has been certified and no further actions are needed. Applicants may request a new version of Part 1 be created by PSC prior to the deadline. Ensure your request to PSC includes a brief explanation as to why a new version is needed. Applicants will be notified once their application is reopened and ready for updates and recertification. By requesting a new version, the applicant assures they will recertify Part 1 prior to the deadline. To download and print your EASIE Part 1 certified responses, select Print Your Answers on EASIE Part 1 certification confirmation page after certifying. Note, once exiting this page, you will not be able to re-enter and download a copy of your certified application. Contact PSC if you did not complete this step and would like to request a copy. Export responses in PDF format by selecting PDF Export or as a QXML PDF format by selecting a QXML PDF Export. To print EASIE Part 1 responses in a more user-friendly version, PSC recommends selecting Print Your Answers and printing the web page version directly from the screen. To do this, select Control-P on your keyboard. Users should ensure the destination is set to Save as PDF and select Save. Follow your browser's prompts to save. This concludes a recorded demonstration of EASIE Part 1. Please give me a few moments to pull up the remainder of today's slides.
And this concludes our presentation for today. We're going to take a few minutes to see if there are any questions that we can address in the time that remains. As a reminder, questions sent through the Q&A panel may not be answered in real time. This helps ensure OIE has proper time to research each individualized policy issue prior to providing a response. If your question is not addressed, please contact PSC. If you would like to ask your question verbally, please enter this request in the Q&A panel and PSC will announce your name prior to unmuting you. It appears we have addressed as many of the questions as we could in the time remaining. If your question was not addressed, please contact PSC. Thank you everyone for joining us today. As always, please feel free to contact the Partner Support Center with any questions or concerns regarding the EASIE Part 1 process. Again, this PowerPoint, as well as the audio recording of today's webinar, will be made available on the community site, or you can always contact PSC to request a copy of these materials. So that concludes today's presentation. Thank you so much for your time and participation today. Have a great day.